p.m. The COVID-19 pandemic continues to impact the. Oh, there we go. Now I call the meeting to order, January 3rd, 2022. The COVID-19 pandemic continues to impact the health and safety of our community. In an effort to be diligent, the city is continuing to conduct all public meetings virtually using the Zoom platform and live stream through YouTube. Access information can be located on the city's website and on each meeting agenda. Will you please join me in saying the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk please read the consent agenda?
We actually call the roll first, and we are missing the clerk, I just noticed. So
I'm in the dark, yes.
You are in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
Am I doing invocation?
Yes.
Madam Mayor, let me share this evening.
Here we go.
Okay. This is from a woman named Nana Hoffman, who has a website called Sweatpants and Coffee, which is my dream for retirement. Here is her words for beginning a new year that I felt just really touched us all. Gentle goals for my new year. Give us more hugs. Seek the good in others and yourself. Make something beautiful. Tell yourself the truth always. Listen more and argue less. Practice gratitude every day. Be delighted by the ordinary. Remember the humanity of those who disagree with you and try new things. Embrace the opportunities. Spend time outdoors. Breathe deeply. Value yourself and enforce the boundaries. And fall in love with the person you are now. And most of all, be kind, because that is who you are in your soul. May those words guide this city council as you move into 2022. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. So now would the clerk please call the roll?
Apologize for that. Potato,
Here.
Brown,
Here.
Cole,
Here.
Hochstetter,
Here.
Newman,
Yeah,
Councilmember Newman.
I talked to her, but she, I thought she was coming, so. She'll probably be coming in late.
Reed,
Here.
Stewart.
Here.
Thank you. So do we vote on Charlotte or do we wait, Jason?
Why don't we give her a couple of minutes to see if she's coming? I think there might have been a power outage issue just now, at least in City Hall there was. So she could be
Right.
struggling with that, and then we'll take a motion. She's still late.
Okay, great.
I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, there she is. All fixed up. All right.
Password issue on my end.
So tonight is the first council meeting of 2022. Normally, that would mean we administer the oath of office for newly elected leaders. This year, we decided to conduct the oath of office for the newly elected leaders in late December to allow for public to attend in person. I'm pleased to be your new mayor, and I'm welcoming returning council member Barbara Botetto and newly elected council members Pat Cole and Earl Stewart. Also in December, our new municipal court judge, Krista White Swain, was sworn in. Judge Swain is an appointed position who was confirmed by the council on December 6th. So welcome to all of those. So will the clerk please read the consent agenda?
Item number 1, approval of the minutes of the December 6th, 2021 regular council meeting. Item 2, approval of checks and electronic payments in the amount of $1,535,464.23. Item number 3, Sumner Taps Guardrail Upgrade Construction Contract.
All right. Are there any of those that someone would like to move? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda is adopted. All right, so now we'll go to unfinished business, and seeing none, we'll move on to public comment. And I don't see anybody in the public. Is there anybody in the public that would like to speak on anything not on tonight's agenda?
And Mayor, just as a reminder, if there are members of the public that want to participate tonight, please use the raise your hand feature, or if you're dialing in by phone, press *9. And as they're doing that, Michelle, did we receive any comments tonight?
Thank you. No, I did not.
Right.
And Mayor, you do have a couple of people that are, at least one that would like to provide comment tonight.
All right, and who do we have here?
Hi, it's Rachel Oberg.
And Ms. Oberg, if you could wait
Hi,
for
Rachel.
just a moment. Mayor,
Would you like me to read the rules first? Thank
Yes,
you.
please.
Thank you. The public comment period is your opportunity to speak to the council and the mayor on issues that are not on the agenda. When the mayor calls on you, please make sure you unmute your computer, audio, or telephone. You'll have 3 minutes. Please begin your comments by stating your name and address for the record. As a reminder, this portion of the meeting is the council's opportunity to hear from the community and not a time to engage in debate. The council will not be answering questions and may direct you to a staff member.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay, Rachel, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. My name's Rachel Oberg. I live off of 61st and Bach Avenue. I'm the acting chair of Sumner Healthy Neighborhoods Alliance. I've come to speak today to reiterate the need for an amendment to the Sumner zoning regulations, requiring all new gas station sites be at least 500 feet from homes or residentially zoned properties. This amendment is necessary as gas stations release benzene at vents from underground storage tanks, car exhausts, and at gas pumps. It is known to cause over 7 different types of cancer, as well as other health and respiratory issues. According to the U.S. Department of Health, there is no safe amount of exposure to benzene, and while vapor recovery systems are sometimes in place to help remove benzene at gas pumps, unfortunately, these systems have been proven to not effectively scrub all the vapors, thus exposing those living within 500 feet to toxic levels of benzene. I wouldn't have known what benzene was if a gas station wasn't being proposed to come to my neighborhood. It is to be built less than 100 feet from my backyard, within 500 feet of many homes, and very close to Sumner High School. Since I last spoke at the December 6th City Council meeting, the Sumner Healthy Neighborhoods Alliance has been collecting signatures from Sumner residents with overwhelmingly positive feedback and support in favor of the amendment. I have sent out emails to the mayor and city council members to pencil out some time to call me and speak with me to answer any questions that you may have and to give me guidance and support on taking the next steps to get this amendment into writing and approved. I don't want to be a broken record at every meeting, but we have an opportunity here to do what is best to protect the health and well-being of Sumner residents, especially our children and senior community who are at the highest risk of adverse health effects. With the knowledge of the unhealthy benzene emissions a gas station produces, I ask you, would you put your parents in a nursing home next to a gas station? Would you put your children in a school next to a gas station? And most importantly, would you place your family's home next to a gas station? Thank you for your time. I look forward to speaking with you.
Thank you, Rachel. All right, so was that it? No, we have Monica Hilliard. Go ahead, Monica.
Hi, my name is Monica Hilliard. I live on 154th Avenue East. I graduated from Sumner High School in the late 1980s and moved away, but moved back to raise my children in our community. I just wanted to be part of a community where it felt like the council and the mayor and other officials were more invested in the people they serve. To follow up with what Rachel stated, I too am very concerned regarding the health impacts of a gas station and its proximity to residential properties and schools. For the record, I do not live within 500 feet of this location. However, when I learned of this, one of the first thoughts that came to my mind was the environmental external obsolescence. In real estate, external obsolescence is a form of depreciation caused by external factors, not on the property itself, like road noise or economics, but one of the largest is environmental. The reason I'm bringing this up, because I think it's an example of the connection between the hazards and the degradation of the value of properties near these hazards. And one of the reasons people don't want to live near gas stations is the environmental concerns. It's a red flag. I also wanted to note that as real estate professionals or appraisers, when we evaluate properties, one of the things we consider is external obsolescence in considering the value. So I just wanted to bring that up because I think it points out that the reason people don't want to live near these things is because they're concerned about the hazards, and I'm concerned about the community and the children and the people who live near these properties. In researching this topic, I've found that there's many cities around the country that are trying to implement safety zones for their communities, and I hope that the city of Sumner can be proactive to ensure the safety of our community for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so let's move on to new business. Selection of deputy mayor. Jason.
Council. Tonight, we're going to have several items on the agenda that are routine and part of welcoming new council members to serve our community. So every 2 years, we go through a process where we appoint not only a deputy mayor, but council committees. So a lot of what I'm going to be saying over the next several items is repetitive, but it helps introduce each specific item. The first item is the selection of the deputy mayor. This is a 2-year term. And according to Sumner Municipal Code, Chapter 2 and Council Rule 19, at the first meeting in January, the members of the city council shall, by majority vote, designate one of their members as deputy mayor for a term of 1 year. In the event the deputy mayor vacates their council position or is unable to perform the duties of deputy mayor, when the members of the city council at their first meeting following the occurrence of the vacancy shall by majority vote designate the deputy mayor to serve the remainder of the unexpired term for deputy mayor. It goes on to say that state law requires that the deputy mayor shall hold the office at the pleasure of the council, and in case of the absence of the mayor, perform the duties of mayor, except that he or she shall not have the power to appoint or remove any officer or to veto any ordinance. Sumner Municipal Code adds that the deputy mayor does not have the power to appoint or remove any employee. As to the duties, the mayor and the mayor pro tem, which is also another term for deputy mayor, shall have the power to administer oaths and affirmations, take affidavits and certify them. The mayor or the mayor pro tem, when acting as the mayor, shall sign all conveyances made by the city and all instruments which require the seal of the city. Finally, according to your rules, number 10, in the absence of the mayor, the deputy mayor is the presiding officer at all meetings of the council and is responsible to conduct the meetings per established procedures and directives. As to the procedure for the election, nominations and the election of the deputy mayor is a public process taken by a voice vote. Nominations may be taken from any member and no second is needed. Once nominations have been received, the presiding officer will ask for a motion to close nominations. This motion must be seconded and passed by a majority vote. After nominations have been officially closed, the presiding officer will ask the clerk to call on members of the council by name and ask for their vote for deputy mayor. In the case of a tie, the mayor is the tie-breaking vote. So with that, I will turn it back over to Mayor Hayden, who will be asking for nominations.
Okay, so do I have nominations for deputy mayor? Earl?
Thank you. I used a raise hand feature, but it doesn't look like it worked. So anyway, I would like to nominate Cindy Hochstetter.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay. Do I have any other nominations? Well, seeing none, I would have a motion to accept Cindy Hochstetter as deputy mayor.
Yeah, the correct motion, actually, we need a motion to close the nominations first before we vote.
All right, can we have a motion to close the nominations?
I move we close nominations for deputy mayor.
Thank you,
Oh,
Earl.
I'll second it.
And seconded by Barbara. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Welcome, Cindy, to deputy mayor.
And Mayor Hayden, that was actually just a closed nomination, so we do need a voice vote to officially make Councilmember Hochstetter the
Well,
deputy.
let's make it official then.
So if you could ask the clerk to call the roll.
Michelle, would you call the roll to elect Cindy for deputy mayor?
Reed,
Yes.
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Brown,
Yeah.
Cole,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, now can I welcome Cindy to being deputy mayor? There we go. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So now we're going to move on to council committee selection, and I'm going to call on Jason again.
Thank you, Mayor. Per the council rule, section 20, city council committee members are to be selected every 2 years. Historically, this has been accomplished by choosing committee assignments based on seniority. As directed by the mayor and based on seniority, council members will make their first selection for a committee, then begin again with the most senior council member, choosing either a second committee seat or an alternate position. This process will continue until all available seats on each committee and the alternate positions are each filled. For your review, in your packet is a description of each committee. I do want to point out that the meeting dates and times that have historically been, those meetings have been held, are listed in your packet. And we typically keep those meeting dates until the first meeting. And at that first meeting, the committee then decides, does that date and time still work for them? That's important because we are in a week where we have 3 committee meetings this week. So tomorrow night is Public Works and ARPA, and Wednesday night is the Finance Committee meeting. Because we are doing this by seniority, we have two new council members that were elected at the same time. That's Councilmember Cole and Councilmember Stewart. At their request, we did a coin flip to determine who would go first this cycle. And Mr. Stewart won that coin flip. In 2024, when we go through this process again, Councilmember Cole will go first. So with that, Mayor, I can turn it back over to you to start this process.
Okay.
And we will be filling in the spots to help keep people apprised of what's available and what's not.
All right. So Michelle, would you call the roll in the order prescribed?
Brown,
Community development.
Hochstetter,
The City Lodging Tax Advisory Committee.
Reed,
Finance and Personnel, please.
Potato,
Finance and Personnel.
Newman,
CDC, the Community Development, please.
Cole,
Public Safety.
excuse me, I should have called Stewart first. I do apologize.
I'll take finance and personnel.
Thank you. Going back to the beginning, Brown,
Public Works.
Hochstetter,
Community development.
Reed,
Public safety. Sorry.
Potato,
Public safety.
Newman,
American Rescue Plan, please.
Stewart,
Public Works, sorry about that.
Cole,
Community development.
would you like to be the alternate then?
Yes, yes, please.
Thank you. Brown,
Public safety alternate.
Hochstetter,
The American Rescue Plan, please.
Reed,
ARPA, please.
Potato,
ARPA alternate.
Newman,
Public Works, please.
Stewart,
I'll pass.
Cole,
Take an alternate for finance and personnel. Oops. Yes, okay.
Brown,
Pass.
Hochstetter, I'm sorry, Councilmember Hochstetter, you're still on mute.
I think I'm done too. Thank you.
Thank you. Reed,
Alternate for LTAC, please.
Potato,
I'll do alternate for Public Works.
thank you.
All right, Mayor, we are completely full on our
Okay,
committees.
all right. So now we don't need to have a motion on that. We're done, right?
We'll
I guess
send it out to council.
What's that?
I will send it out to council for their
Great.
record.
Thank you. Okay, so the next item is Rainier Communications Commission appointment. Jason?
Thank you, Mayor. Next up is an appointment to the Rainier Cable Commission. The RCC reviews and recommends model television and telecommunication franchise agreements and advises the production of public programming. This is a 1-year appointment, sorry, a 2-year appointment, and we are allowed to appoint alternates as well. Per your council rules, discussion shall take place with the full council to determine interest, and then the mayor or council member receiving a majority vote will represent the city on that regional body. So with that, I would recommend that the mayor accept nominations for the appointed position, and then we can do the alternate position afterwards.
Okay, I call on recommendations, nominations for RCC, Rainier Communication Commission. Do I have any nominations? Charla?
Yes, if Councilmember Cole is interested, I would like to nominate her. She has some experience in working with other government agencies, and I think it would be she'd be a good person to be able to step in if there is another interest from others.
Okay. So do we have any other nominations? All right, seeing none, I I think,
Mayor, we need to make
Councilmember
sure
Cole.
that Councilmember Cole is willing to accept the nomination.
Councilmember Cole, are you willing to accept this nomination?
Yes, I'm willing to accept the nomination.
Okay, all right. So we're good with that one. Thank you.
Mayor,
And-
could you please get a motion to close the nominations and then we need a majority vote for Councilmember Cole?
Oh, we do. Okay, but we don't need it for the other committees? We
No.
didn't need it? Okay, so I would take a motion to for
I'll
the,
move that we close nominations.
thank
Yes,
you.
and I'll second that.
Okay, good. It's moved and seconded. And Councilmember Cole has accepted the position, so we are good with that. Do we need a motion to accept her?
We need the clerk to call the roll.
Okay, Michelle, would you please call the roll to accept Pat Cole as our Rainier Communications person?
Sumner,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm glad that's over. Now we're going to move on to Pierce County Regional Council. Jason?
And Mayor, before we move on to that, if council desires, we can appoint an alternate to the Rainier Cable Commission. That's a discussion item for council. It's not required. This one's completely optional.
Okay. So council, are you open for appointing an alternate?
I would like to opt out on that, please.
Okay.
I too would like to, if Councilmember Cole can't make it to a meeting, I think it's acceptable for her to play it by ear, like to call on any council member to replace her as needed. In other words, also move to opt out.
Okay, is that all right?
Yeah, that's perfectly acceptable. For the last couple of years, we've only had one elected official on there. And we also have a staff member that attends RCC
Okay.
meetings regularly. So
Okay,
perfectly
Alright.
acceptable. Just had to throw out the option. So if you're ready, Mayor,
Very
we can move on to the next item.
all right. So we're moving on to Regional Council. Jason?
Thank you, Mayor. When the Growth Management Act was passed in 1990, it mandated that cities and counties plan for growth collaboratively. In 1991, Pierce County created the Growth Management Steering Committee consisting of elected officials from every city in the county, the Port of Tacoma, and the Library District. In 1998, the steering committee was changed to the Pierce County Regional Council, also known as PCRC, and continued its role in maintaining countywide planning policies. The PCRC also makes recommendations on allocation of certain federal transportation grants. This is a 2-year appointment, and the member and the alternate must be elected officials representing the member agency. There's no limit to the number of alternates that the city can appoint. A member jurisdiction can select its representative and designated alternates by its own appropriate process. That process is outlined in your council rules section 21, which is the same process we just went through with the RCC. Discussion shall take place with the full council to determine interest, and then the mayor or council member receiving a majority vote will represent the city on the regional body. I'm recommending again that we first appoint the primary representative and then take interest in alternates.
Okay, do I have nominations for Pierce County Regional Council? Cindy?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Charla Newman for that position.
Okay. Any other nominations? Barbara?
I want to nominate Patrick Reed.
Okay, we have Cindy and Patrick nominated. Any other nominations? Okay, so do I have a motion to close the nominations?
Yes, I move to close the nominations for the Pierce County Regional Council.
Thank you. It's been motioned and seconded, and Michelle, would you call the roll? Or call?
I'm
for
sorry,
vote?
Mayor, could you please announce who seconded, who nominated, who motioned to close the nominations? And
Pat
then who
Cole.
seconded it?
Pat Cole seconded it, and Kurt?
I made the motion.
Kurt made the motion,
Thank you.
or the other way around.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, so
To be
I'll
clear,
call the
Mayor,
roll.
what we're asking.
Michelle, this is something I've done for every year for 8 years, and I have no idea what I'm doing now, so we're good. We're getting through. So thanks for riding with me here. Go ahead, Michelle.
I
So
believe
this
the
is-
city administrator would like to say something.
Yeah, I just want to clarify what we're voting on. This is to vote to close the nominations for the primary position on Pierce County Regional Council.
Yes,
And then we'll take a vote on who to appoint.
okay. So do I have a motion to close the nominations?
You already have a motion. and
The motion
second.
has,
Yeah,
I
just
thought
need
so.
Michelle to call the roll.
So Michelle, would you call the roll?
I will, thank you.
Thanks.
Newman,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Hochstetter.
Yes.
Okay, so now we have 2 members that have been nominated, and Michelle, would you call the roll for the votes?
Hochstetter,
Ms. Newman,
Newman,
Yeah, I'll vote for myself.
Potato,
Reed.
Stewart,
Reed.
Reed,
Reed.
Cole,
Councilmember Newman,
Brown,
Reed.
4 for Councilmember Reed and 3 for Councilmember Newman.
Okay. So now we will entertain an alternate. So do we take Councilmember Newman as the alternate then? Or do we vote all over again?
You'll need to accept nominations for alternates.
Okay, I accept nominations for alternate. Patrick,
I move that we nominate Councilmember Newman as the alternate.
okay.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded to have Councilmember Newman as alternate. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That was a slow rolling eye.
Aye.
So we have Councilmember Newman as alternate. All right, I'm glad that's over. So let's move on to principles of conduct. Do I have a motion by Councilmember Newman?
No, what, you don't, I mean, I could. How does this, I need the city administrator, because I would actually like to move it to study session.
Yeah, so we need a council member to at least get it on to the
Yeah, so,
board tonight, so then we can move it, and so we could just get a motion from somebody and a second, I'll present it, and then if there's a amendment or a proposal to move it to an alternate date, that can occur then.
Okay, I'll make the motion that we open it up for discussion.
And do we
Yes,
have a
I-
second?
I'll second that.
Cindy's second, Charla's the motion. All in favor of that?
No,
Aye.
Aye.
Mayor,
Hold on
there's
a
no
second.
vote. I need to present on it, and then we can
Yeah.
accept a motion if there is one to move it to another meeting.
Okay,
So before you tonight is the council principles of conduct. It was drafted in 2011 as an acceptable code of conduct for council members in and out of the council meetings in relation to city business. It has been the practice of the council to pass a motion to accept and sign the principles of conduct every 2 years or when new members are added to the council. I'm happy to discuss it further if council has questions or answer any other procedural questions.
anybody have questions for Jason on this? Barbara, go ahead.
I'm just curious why there is a request for a delay and not accepting it tonight.
I can't speak to that, and if a council member wants to make a motion to delay it, we need to do that first, and then they can speak to their reasoning behind that.
Okay.
Do we, Cindy, go ahead.
Thank you. I move to refer this item to a study session for further discussion. Some items in it may no longer be appropriate or necessary. And the ones I'm questioning are, for example, courtesy norm number 16, or in the role of the mayor and council member number 8.
Okay,
I'll second that.
I'll second.
all right, it's been moved and seconded.
Do I need a second for that?
We,
To move it to another?
Councilmember Newman seconded that. So all in favor?
Mayor, there needs to be discussion or
Okay.
offer discussion.
All right. Do we have discussion? Mr. Brown?
Yeah, I am totally fine the way it is. I read them over tonight and several years ago, and I think they will do just fine.
Okay. Do we have any other? Councilmember Newman, go ahead.
Yeah, so anytime, my overall take on any request for discussion to study session is as long as something isn't extremely like time sensitive, I think as out of mutual respect, like I don't care who the request would come from. I think as a courtesy, if someone wants to discuss issues and there isn't an urgency to it, then we should oblige and add the extra time for discussion. The second point is, I remember when it was my first time on council, sometimes it takes a minute to process, and that discussion helps in that we think through about how all of these things impact how we are going to go about our day-to-day business in the next, and I don't remember if they're good for 1 year or 2 years. Anyway, so zero harm in having a conversation in study session for us to review one more time rather than just quickly passing. So I'm always open to more discussion and thought.
Do we have any more comments on this? Any more discussion? Cindy?
First of all, I need to say my internet is buffering in and out, so I'm having a little bit of a hard time following things. But when I was reading through the courtesy norms, there was one that I felt was not good, and that was the fact that it wanted to limit questions and decide whether they were relevant or not. And I just never liked that thing where you might want to make someone feel insecure about asking whatever they want to ask. And then the other thing is that the one that reaches where we want to get to an unanimous vote. And I think that the way that the council has been operating for the last 4 or 5 years, it's worked well to vote before we feel like we have everybody unanimous, that we still have people who may disagree and want to show their vote as a no to the public. So I would just really like to just put this in front of the whole council and have them talk about these issues. Even though these are just norms and recommendations, I still think they're important to how the public conceives us. So thank you.
Do we have any more discussion on this? So Jason, do we call for a vote?
Yeah, Mayor, the first vote will be on the amendment, which is to postpone this, or not postpone, rather to refer this to a study session for further discussion. And
Okay,
then depending on how that vote goes, you may vote a second time on the principles of conduct as proposed. So
okay. So Michelle, will you call for a vote for the amendment?
Cole? Councilmember Cole?
Yes.
Thank you. Brown?
I guess I won't be too yes if I do this, but no.
Reed?
Yes.
Stewart?
Yes.
Hochstetter?
Yes.
Potato?
Yes.
Newman?
Yes.
Okay, so this goes to a study session, what, February 7th?
actually, Mayor, this will be on next week's study session for discussion.
Yeah,
And then depending on how next week goes, maybe on February 7th.
okay, great. Thank you. Okay, now we are moving on to ordinance number 28054. Do I have a motion by Councilmember Hochstetter?
Yes, I move to adopt ordinance number 2805, amending the special events permit code, Sumner Municipal Code 12.52.
All right. And we will call on.
Mary, you need a second.
You need a second. Right there, Mr. Councilmember Brown. Now we'll call on Ryan Windish. Did you fall asleep listening to this meeting?
I am awake.
Good.
Good evening, Mayor Hayden and City Council. The ordinance before you will amend our special event permit code. Special event permits are required for large community and public events that may impact traffic, businesses, residents, require city services such as street closures. A special event permit allows for the city to address potential negative impacts and coordinate services to have a successful event. And we all know that we love our downtown events, and these special event permits are part of what makes that happen. So ordinance number 2805 contains code amendments that would increase fees to address an increase in city costs. And most of that is related to increase in labor costs. It also amends the definition for a special event to include vehicle-related events such as cruising events. You might remember the large cruising events we had last year. They were awesome, but there was some question as to whether or not they required a special event permit. And we want to make sure that those are required to have permits because of the potential traffic impacts. And amendments also make some other minor code amendments as well. I've included the special events fee schedule. It's administratively part of the administrative process for adopting those fees. It's not actually part of the ordinance, but I wanted to include that for reference. And so this did go to the CD committee. They were willing to meet in December. So on the 22nd, they gave a due pass recommendation to council. And staff's recommendation is move to adopt ordinance 2805. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ryan. Do we have any questions for Mr. Windisch? So, Mr. Reed.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to ask Mr. Windisch specifically related to the cruise-in events that took place. Does this make it any different than what the process that's already been followed, or does it just memorialize the process?
That's a great question. It would memorialize the process because they did go ahead and follow through the special events permit in partnership with the Sumner Main Street Association.
Okay, so it's not necessarily a change of process, it's just clarifying and memorializing it for future use.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, Ryan, this is well done. The only question I had was, is there anything in this that would impose limitations because of the current pandemic?
No, there's no additional language related to the pandemic. We would simply rely, as we have, on state guidance in that regard, as well as some of our state guidance would really be the go-to for any special events regarding COVID.
Thank you.
All right. And well, we had Councilmember Newman, you had your hand up. Did you change your mind?
Half and half, yes. I guess, Ryan, Mr. Winters, I will ask, is this consistently applied across the board, or is it dependent on the type of applicant? Like, is there a difference between nonprofits or government entities or private citizens in the applications?
It's applied across the board. I mean, even the Arts Commission, the Cultural Arts Commission events and city-sponsored events have to pay for their fees. So it addresses, the fees address labor costs associated with public works and police if need to close streets, barricades, that kind of thing.
Great, thank you.
Any other comments on that? Councilmember Hochstetter?
Yes, I'll just say we went over this carefully in committee and we felt that it was concise and clear and that it accomplished everything it needed to. And the fee schedule is so much simpler for an applicant to understand what their fees would be. And so I'm totally in favor of this. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will have to say that thank you for the work on that, Ryan. It is so much simpler now than what it was. And I appreciate all the work you did on that. Any other discussion on this? Any questions? Seeing none. Michelle, will you call the roll?
Mayor, Councilmember Cole has a question.
Oh, well, there you are. Councilmember Cole, sorry. Go ahead.
So I just wanted to clarify one thing. It did say that there's preference was given to certain entities like the school district, the city, as when it comes to those particular using those particular facilities or staff. Does that mean, I guess I want to clarify that it doesn't mean that if a private citizen had wanted to use it or make use of those facilities or the staff, that it is on a first come, first served basis. And if the school district decided after a private citizen submitted their request, who would that still be a first come, first served basis? Or would they be able to bump that private citizen?
Well, I think your question relates to the next ordinance. I believe that's where we talk about preference given to government agencies and school district.
Okay.
So I'm not sure.
Okay, so maybe I'm premature, sorry.
It's okay.
No, I'm gonna.
Go ahead, Charlotte.
I still think the question makes sense in terms of I guess, let me maybe help rephrase, but are permits issued on a first come, first served basis, or is there priority to public and nonprofit sectors versus private citizens? I mean, Mr. Winters, I understand you're right. That's an issue in the next one for the Ryan House, but I still think it's a question for how we issue permits too.
Yeah, it's a first come, first serve basis. We do have some community events like the Daffodil Festival, Santa Parade, Street of Treats, things that the city's already calendared that would take precedence. But otherwise, it's first come, first serve. And in fact, typically our Sumner Main Street Association applies towards the first of the year for all their special events in order to kind of be in place first.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any more questions on that? All right, so now, Michelle, could you call for votes?
Reed,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All right, passes unanimous. We'll move on to ordinance number 2806. We have a motion by Councilmember Brown.
I move. I don't have the numbers.
2806.
I move we pass 2806 to have the Lucy V. Ryan as a city park.
Thank you, Councilmember Brown. Do I have a second on that?
Yes, I'd like to second that.
Thank you. And Mr. Windisch.
Thank you, Mayor Hayden. Ordinance 2806 would officially name what is known in our code right now as the Ryan House as the Lucy V. Ryan Park. The property was deeded to the city in 1926 with covenants and restrictions, retaining it as a city park. It was dedicated to the city by the Ryan family. In accordance with the 1926 deed and the 1979 amendment, Lucy V. Ryan Park shall remain open and accessible for use by the public. And the city works with public and private partners to establish short and long-term leases using the facility in accordance with the deeds and maximize its ability to remain open and accessible to the public for recreation and gathering, either through use agreements or as outlined by a special event permit process. Ordinance 2806 would add Lucy V. Ryan Park to the list of city parks in the Sumner Municipal Code and establish specific rules for said park. And this is really a long overdue cleanup to our code because it's supposed to be a park and it's supposed to be named the Lucy V. Ryan Park. So that is why we want to do this amendment, have this amendment. And I also want to, well, I guess I'll wait and see if Councilmember Cole wants to ask about priorities for city facilities. And I really don't know the answer to that other than, I don't know if we've ever run into a school event coming at the same time as a private event, if we've had to bump an event. I mean, I don't know if City Administrator Wilson has had that experience or not in the past.
We have not had that, but the reason why that language exists is my understanding, it goes back to the use of the gazebo, and the intended use of that gazebo was to be for community versus private events. For example, you might want to rent the gazebo for a wedding, and if there was a conflict, obviously they want the council at the time wanted it to be used for public events. That being said, we've always treated it as a first in, first permitted. You know, it would be horrible for somebody to plan a wedding there and then the school to come in the week before and say, hey, I want to do something there. So in practical speaking, it would always be a first in, first permitted.
Thank you.
Charlotte, do you have a question?
I have two of them.
Okay.
One, is that language in terms of the first come, first serve, is that language? Well, I guess I have three questions. Necessary, is that consistent with language that we have, say, for instance, for permits and events at, say, like Loyalty Park or other public parks aside from Heritage?
I don't know offhand. I'd have to look at the code.
Well, Ryan's looking at that specific code chapter. I will say that's how we've always treated it. It's first in, first permitted. That's why, as Ryan mentioned, most of these longstanding events, they're very good about, you know, submitting a permit as much as a year in advance, because that's our window to accept applications.
And if that's the case, I mean, that's great and that seems fair. But to your point, I'm wondering then why that language is necessary. Like, part of me, I'm tempted to consider making an amendment to remove then the prioritization of the school district and public events, just for the exact reason that you just cited. Like, I just worry about, I mean, I know some of the attorneys on other organizations, and like, for that same reason that you cited, like, I would hate to see a wedding canceled when if like another entity just decided kind of last minute. I mean, I think it's a rare situation. I'm not predicting it, but if we kind of do first come, first serve anyway, then why do a reprioritization? But I also wanted, like, while you guys are looking at that, I'm wondering if maybe we can have the city attorney answer a question as to the other why for doing this, because I would like another statement about how this helps law enforcement and public safety.
Thank you, Councilmember Newman. One of the reasons that this is before council tonight is because at my request, I asked that the Lucy V. Ryan Park be included in our list of parks so that the park rules apply to the Ryan House. Currently, the open and close rules, the trespassing rules, the no smoking, the no urination and defecation, a number of very important public health rules that apply to all of our other parks and trails didn't apply because of this, because of the fact that it wasn't on the park listing code. So adding it to the list of parks allows the police department and public works crews and parks crews to help enforce the rules when it comes to the Ryan House.
Okay, and just so my other, well, again, everyone else looking at other information, just so my other fellow council members know, for that reason, I'll be supporting it, but I also want to flag that this is sometimes a consequences of us not having any other public restrooms available and other sites available and other tools available for people. And some of the vandalism that we're seeing there is kind of a natural consequence of us not having other public facilities open, which is an administrative thing that we can work on throughout the year. It's going to be a long-term problem, but I just wanted to flag that too. But I think this could be a useful tool for law enforcement. Anyway, thank you.
Okay. Cindy, go ahead.
Mr. Windisch, I have a question for you. What does the V in Lucy V. Ryan's name stand for?
I have no idea. Victoria, maybe? I don't know.
Oh, gosh. What, do we need Carmen at the meeting? We need Carmen at every meeting?
Maybe Carmen can beam in and let us know.
Because it could be her previous last name, or it could be Violet, Lucy Violet. So Okay, well, I'll have to find that out later. Thank you.
I was gonna start singing Valerie, so.
Wow.
I
this
do
meeting-
have an answer to the other question regarding which parks might have priority for the school district government over private parties. And the only park that I can see that has that statement is Heritage Park, as Jason Wilson had said. And so I thought that language, given the Ryan House grounds, the porch, the potential for events there, that it should have a similar statement. But that's entirely.
And that makes sense, but given that it could potentially eventually be a wedding venue or something, a wedding venue or something of like that, I would like to propose an amendment removing the prioritization language so that it's more consistent with the rest of our public parks.
And just for clarification, the other public parks like Loyalty, Siebenthaler, there's no reservation ability there at all.
But wouldn't you still need an event permit of some type?
It may be used as a venue for a special event.
Yeah,
That is open to the public.
right. Oh, that is open to the,
Mhm.
In limited circumstances, Councilmember Newman, you can do a special event permit in a park that is not open to the public, but it is subject to all the rules and regulations outlined in the special event permit code.
Okay. But I would still like to remove the prioritization language so that there's no confusion about like if there is a private event that a public one wouldn't trump it. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me, but if you want to.
I
do
need
that
a
tonight, you
second.
need to make.
Yeah,
the motion.
I'm where I need a second. No one wants a second?
I second the motion.
So we have a motion and a second to remove the prioritization from that ordinance. Do we go ahead and vote on that, Jason, or do we? Oh, Patrick, go ahead.
Thank you. I had another clarifying question, actually. So I understand the prioritization process. If somebody has already been permitted, that's not necessarily locked down if one of these other items were to present themselves. Is that the way I understand how it's currently proposed?
Yes, the code currently says priority for use would be to the city government, school district, Sumner community, and nonprofit organizations and other government entities, and lastly, private parties.
Okay, so that's the part that was confusing to me also, because I do like the idea that if somebody has been permitted and it's complete, that it not be overturned for a competing event. And I think if I understand correctly, is that what Councilmember Newman was heading toward?
Yes.
Okay, and that's a true first come, first served. Once the permit is actually issued, I think it should stand.
So if I can make a recommendation, we don't like doing amendments without making sure we look at them holistically and make sure that we totally understand, because one of the concerns I do have that we should consider is if somebody came in on October 31st in the morning and applied for a wedding special event permit at Heritage Park, and then later that same day, Sumner Main Street comes in and files a permit for Street of Treats, we obviously have a challenge there, because Street of Treats is a long-standing tradition, similar to Daffodil Festival. And I think we'd have a difficult time with our community saying that we're going to approve the wedding over Street of Treats. As just an example. So we may want to kick this back to committee for further discussion and review. Just a suggestion. We do have a motion, though, that you guys are going to need to vote on.
Okay, so
Do you want me to comment on my motion? Since it's my original motion, could I still comment then on Jason regarding what you suggested?
Mayor Hayden.
I have Cindy and Patrick and Barbara and Charlotte's hands are all up. So I'll start with Cindy. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I just think that this is a little premature because we're so unsure on what direction we're taking the Lucy V. Ryan Park and whether it'll even be open for things like weddings. So I just think it's premature to adjust this before we know what the destiny of the Ryan House property is. So thank you.
Councilmember Botetto.
Why is the school district on the list as having priority over other entities? I mean, I know we have a great relationship. Is that part of it, or is there some history why they would have priority?
I don't want to put Councilmember Brown on the spot, but he was probably on council when that language was added. So he might have a better insight than I do, but it's been in there a long time.
Oh, okay. So it's more historical then. All right. Thank you.
Well, there are some events that are pretty traditional by the school district. And so if we don't want them at priority over that, I don't think that would be the right thing to do.
All right. Who else did I miss?
To me, it just seems like they along with the Main Street Association would probably get those permits in earlier than the last minute. So.
Councilmember Newman.
I'm okay with if committee wants to work through the nuances of this. And I completely agree with Councilmember Brown in terms of like our community traditional events and historic events. I'm more thinking about but things change, things evolve, and especially we know that through the pandemic where we add on events, and it's more like whether the wedding venues can be counted on versus like the next senior high school class coming up with a whole brand new event that happen to be on the same day as someone else's wedding. And I'm also thinking in terms of how it applies to Ryan House specifically. I'm not trying to undo anything at Heritage Park or for downtown Main Street in terms of those protections. So I wanted to make clear my intent, and I don't know if, Jason, if I need to revise my motion, am I allowed to do that? I'm okay with just sending it back to committee instead of amending it now.
I put the Attorney Marquez on the spot on that one.
Councilmember Newman, I think probably the best way is to rescind your motion so that the motion's no longer on the floor, and then you can make your new one and get a second.
I rescind my motion and I move instead that we send this back to committee for a little bit more finessing.
Do we have a second on that?
A second.
So it's been moved and seconded to bring this back to council. And Michelle, will you call the vote on that?
I'm sorry, Mayor, I didn't get who seconded the motion.
Mr. Reed.
Mr. Reed seconded.
Thank you. Exeter?
Yes, and the plan is to bring it to committee, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
That's the motion.
Yes. Yeah, I'm in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Newman?
Yes.
Cole?
Yes.
Potato?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Stewart?
Yes.
Thank you. I think that had some of everything. Tonight, we've had something of everything. All right. So I guess we're done with that. We'll move on to council reports. Mr. Stewart.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Still not sure if you want me to call you that, but that's the way it is. Two things. First of all, I want to thank city staff for the prompt response to get snow and ice off the roads. I was not aware of any significant problems, and it was really wonderful how they stepped up and took care of that. And then I also want to thank those two ladies who provided public comment. It's very important for us to get comments so we know the feelings and thoughts of the public. Thank you.
Councilmember Botetto.
Yeah, I just want to welcome Councilmember Cole and welcome back Councilmember Stewart to the council, and I look forward to the next term of office here. Thank you.
Councilmember Reed.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick welcome and congratulations to the recently seated or re-elected council members, and also a happy new year to everyone.
Thank you. Councilmember Cole.
I am just so happy to be a part of this council, and I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Brown.
Yeah, I was getting tired of all this white stuff. I drove down the road today. It was nice to see yards.
I agree. Councilmember Newman.
I am looking forward to working with council members Cole and Councilmember Stewart. And so I'm excited about that. And everyone, please help protect your family members, especially if they're older. Whatever you can do to wear a mask or social distance, limit your exposure. It's easier to get a booster shot than it is a COVID test right now. The lines are long. And so everyone just please be safe. There are, like, however you felt about vaccinations before, the variations are there. They are real. You can get COVID twice, all kinds of things. Just everyone keep your family members safe.
Thank you. Councilmember Hochstetter.
Thank you. I want to welcome our new members, and I think that they're joining a great team. And I'm also want to congratulate Mayor Kathy Hayden, and I think she's going to make our job fun and easy. I hope. And I guess we're going to try to make her job fun and easy too. So welcome, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy. Okay, City Administrator, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. Next week at the study session, we'll be providing an update to the operations facility, including property acquisition. And as was moved tonight, we'll be discussing the council code of conduct as well. At your next regular council meeting, which will be on a Tuesday, January 18th, due to the Martin Luther King holiday, you'll consider a resolution approving an interlocal agreement with Bonnie Lake for building inspector services, an ordinance amending the Public Records Act code, the resolution accepting a PSAR grant for the White River Restoration Project, an ordinance amending the contract approval code, and a resolution accepting a Pierce County lodging tax grant. On personnel issues, we've recently offered positions to 3 individuals. One is a records management specialist. The second is an associate engineer, which actually does need council approval, and I'll be going to committee this week and then on your January 18th meeting, and then a new information systems technician. We do have current openings for associate city engineer or public works project manager, a wastewater treatment facility operator, a wastewater treatment facility electrician, as well as various levels of police officer. We also have several positions that are pending opening, including the human resources administrative specialist and the shops operator position. And that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Good. Well, thank you for bearing with me on the longest, most confusing meeting ever, but I got through it and with your help. So I look forward to running many more meetings, and I promise I will get better. And thank you, everybody, for being here. We have no executive session tonight, and so I will adjourn this meeting at 7:14 p.m. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Great job, Madam Mayor.